the portion of English in your Inspector Inland Revenue test, and this portion comprises of 20 marks and cumulatively it has 20%. You have to pass by at least passing above 10 marks or 10 MCQs. So in order to know more about this portion, I'm going to give you a review again. What can you expect from this portion? And as the course has also been updated, so I'm going to tell you information again verbally. So first and foremost thing, what they're going to assess from you is grammar usage. And when we say by grammar usage, you're going to be assessed by knowing the proper rules of grammar. Now, in order to understand the rules of grammar, you have to understand what are the ingredients of English grammar. And in order to start with that, the first and foremost ingredient or first and foremost component of grammar is parts of speech. Then the second component that we are going to cover, inshallah, is tenses. The third component, voices. The fourth component, narration, direct and indirect. The fifth component are going to be articles and preposition. We can change the sequence as well. Then afterwards, when we are going to cover article, we simultaneously are going to learn more rules about the subject-verb agreement and then the common errors that we are doing usually. The second component is sentences, types of sentences. Now what can be examined in your English portion? They can examine and ask you to change the voice. They can ask you to convert direct into indirect and indirect into direct. They can ask you to insert appropriate preposition. They can ask you to insert appropriate conjunction. They can ask you to tell the mistake in a sentence, and that is the most confusing area when you don't know the rules, when you are not good at forming proper structure of sentences. It's very difficult for you to point out a mistake. We can only point out a mistake when we are good at something. So in order to understand and start from the basics, we are covering parts of speech first. In the previous class, we had covered 4 parts of speech, that is noun, pronoun, adjective, and verb was covered in detail. If I just go with the revision and if I just ask you to recall your memory, then you must remember that noun is a Latin word that is nomen. Nomen means name of something. So something that is visible is a noun, something that is invisible is a noun. We also studied what are abstract nouns. We also had a chit chat about common noun, proper noun, and collective nouns, and so on and so forth. Now, I also told you, if you're going to see a word in a sentence, you have to see how that word is used in a sentence. The usage will only determine what parts of speech is it related to. I told you a sentence in the last class where menace, M-E-N-A-C-E, was used as a noun, and I also told you another sentence in which it was used as a verb. So similarly, one word can be used as a noun or a verb, or it can be also changed into another form to convert into an adjective and so on and so forth, right? Then we studied pronouns. Pronouns are used instead of nouns, and I also told you that you should not be using again and again the same names, same things. That is going to compromise on the quality of your paragraph. After pronouns, we discussed what adjectives are. Adjectives are basically the words which are going to modify a noun. It's going to tell about the qualities of a noun and a pronoun. Since pronouns is used instead of a noun, therefore it is going to tell us about the quality of a pronoun and a noun together. Then in the last, we studied verb, which took a longer while to study because this time we went into more detail. So what exactly is a verb? Can anyone now tell me?
What is the collection of
Verb. Yeah. What is a verb?
Any kind of work.
Any kind of work? What's a verb?
Action or state of something.
Action or state? Action, we remember this word by heart. Other than action, what was it?
State.
It was a state. What else was it? We discussed two forms of verbs. We did not discuss category 3 and 4. The reason was that that's not part of your syllabus and we don't want to go into more detail, right? So we studied two forms. I told you that one form is action, the other form is a state. So when I told you that verb is any action, by action what do I mean? Physical and mental. And by state, verb is also falling in the category of state, and by state what do I mean actually? Emotions, feelings, sense. We are counting the category. Thoughts, senses, feelings and emotions are same. Possessions, very good. So one was thoughts, the second one was possession, the third one was senses, the fourth one was feelings and emotions. When we are talking about the verb in thought, what are the examples of verbs when we are talking about thoughts? Example of verbs in the category of thoughts. Those who are present in the class only, they will tell me. Thinking, believing, so not thinking, believing, fearing is in the emotions category. Believing, recognizing, realizing, considering, that's in the thought process, right? So considering, recognizing, admiring, yes, so, yes, understanding, understanding, desiring, noticing, many. Now these are falling in the category of thought. So these are the verbs which pertain to your thought process. Then there are verbs which pertain to your feelings and emotions. Now tell me, feelings and emotions. She is being loved. Love is a verb. He is being hated. Hate is what? A verb. Alright, liked. She is liked in the class. He is liked in the class. She is liked in the department. He is liked in the department. Like is also acting as a verb. Right? What else? Yes. Caring. Absolutely.
Mind, want, need.
Okay.
Desire, wish, hope, appreciate, believe.
What are these examples of?
Madam, feeling and
Yes. True. Right? Now, then we have the third category, that is senses. How many senses do you have? 5 senses. So these senses are also used as verbs. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, hearing, eating is an action, falling in the action category. Right? So these senses are also forming verbs for you. And the last category we had was the possession, having it, wanting it. What else? This belongs to me. It belonged to her. So these are the possession. These are the verbs which are showing possession to you. Right? What else? Include, consist of. I have this thing including this. I have. For if have over here is acting as a verb. Then we also discussed auxiliary or helping verbs. And in helping verbs we went into details. First we knew that there are only am, are, was, were verbs of helping verbs. Now we know that there are many. Can, could, should, shall, ought to, right? Sorry? Must as well. Excellent. So these are what? These are the auxiliary verbs, auxiliary verbs or helping verbs for you. Now let's talk about adverb. This was just a revision of our previous class. Let's discuss what adverb is. So we would be making the class a little bit more interactive. I'll be asking you questions so that you're involved and I don't have to give a speech of independence here, right? So what we're going to do is that I will be telling you the definition, one example, and you have to make the example in the class as well. And I'll be repeating your example, right? So what is an adverb? Adverb. Adding. It's modifying what? And what do we mean by modifying? Adding more. Knowing more about it. Explaining more about it. Right? So this is, adverb is explaining the verb, explaining the adjective, explaining another adverb. And by adverbs we actually have understanding that all the ly words are known as adverbs. Quickly, easily, effortlessly, these are only adverbs. However, it's actually not like that. There are many other adverbs that I will just give you example of in the class. So what exactly does the adverb do? Adverb is going to give you an explanation of how an action is done. How an action is done. Now, I will tell you a sentence. Can someone be a volunteer and add an adverb here? Right? She is walking. She is walking. I said one sentence. I stated one sentence. She is walking. What is a verb here? Walking. Walking is a verb. And what we did right now, Miss told me that if I add another word that is quickly, it's going to, it is an adverb and it will tell us how is she walking. So quickly over here is telling you about the verb. Yes or no? I will say one sentence, and that's also not a complete sentence. However, if you will add an adverb here, it's going to be a complete sentence. And that's not an ly adverb. I am doing. It should be I'm doing. You have to tell me an adverb. Don't. I'm doing. Okay, good. Any other thing? I'm doing. So Abid told me I'm doing. Then you have to add another word. I'm doing it quickly. Other than that, I'm doing. Add an adverb. I'm doing it perfectly. I'm doing it slowly. What else? Other than ly.
Fine.
Exactly, I'm doing fine. Now here, fine is acting as an adverb. If I say I'm fine, then is it an adjective or what? It's an adjective. Right? I'm doing well. Well is an adverb here. I'm telling you another one. I want to tell you with respect to modifying a verb. And I don't want an ly with that. She will be coming now. She will be coming now. What is now over here? It's an adverb because it is telling how she will be when she will be coming. So an adverb, true, an adverb is going to tell you about the time. It's going to tell you how something has been done, manner. So these are the things that an adverb will be telling you. Now I want to tell you another one. With respect to an adjective. She is too pretty. What is an adjective in this sentence? Pretty is an adjective. She is, what's the verb in it? What's the verb in she is too pretty? Is an helping verb. If we don't have a verb, we use helping verb. And at that time, helping verb is changing the form of helping verb into the main verb. Remember that, right? She is too pretty. What is pretty? Adjective. What is? It's a helping verb. What is too over here? It's an adverb. Now this was an example of an adverb which is modifying and giving us more explanation about an adjective. So too is also an example of adverb. Well, now, and the rest that you told me, promptly, quickly, easily, effortlessly, these are all examples of adverbs which we already spoke of. Then it's also modifying an adverb itself.
She runs fast.
She was running too quickly. She was running. What is she over here? Pronoun was, helping verb. Running is a main verb. Too is an adverb. Quickly is also an adverb, right? So too is also a modifying adverb, right?
We play cricket well the court.
For example, I am I want to talk about an adverb, and I want to give you an example of how we can use much over here. Thank you very much is an example. Very is a adverb. Much is also, what is much? It's also an adverb. I'm thanking you. What is thanking over here? Thanking is a verb, main verb. I am thanking you. I thanked her very much. So very and much are adverbs, right? I thanked her much. Yeah, or I can say much thanks to you. Many congratulations to you. Many is also an adverb. Something that's modifying an adjective, a verb, and an adverb itself is are falling under the category of adverb. So now let's roughly write down few adverbs. Write down tell me 5 adverbs ending with ly, and those who are online, they can write it in the chat. Everyone in 1 minute write down 10 verbs, 5 with ending with ly, and the rest not just write the adverbs. Don't use it in a sentence right now at the moment, okay? Five ly adverbs. Yes. Okay, I'll take names and you have to tell me. First, Mushtaq, tell me 5 ly and then the rest.
On the right, three.
Okay, tell me.
Beautifully
Hmm.
and politely,
Okay,
normally,
okay,
strongly,
okay.
and better, good, best. I'm doing better. It was good, and she's the best.
For that placement, otherwise there's other degrees of,
That's it.
they are, it's going to, I understand, listen, I understand, however, and you understand too. So just write out for the purpose of understanding how adverbs are working. We are only using this in this category right now. Try to make another adverb. Yes, Atta.
Purely,
Hmm.
free,
Purely,
free,
freely,
lovingly,
lovingly, strongly.
gradually,
Yes, okay.
rapidly,
Okay, other than that. If you're going to learn the ly adverbs, this means you have not learned anything in the class. Because this is something that has already been taught to you in class 5 and 8 and 9. Here, when you've come here, I want to show you a different perspective. The only reason is that because I want you to go one step ahead in the professional level. You should now be able to classify different parts of speech. The ly things are too old now. Write down other examples of that, young man.
simply, hardly,
And what's your good name?
father,
Okay, Fad.
hardly,
Hmm.
simply,
Other
greatly,
ones.
weakly,
Other ones other than ly. Write down those. I have mentioned right now in the class, even written that too. Yes.
Clearly, quickly,
Mm-hmm.
cleverly,
Mm-hmm. Other than that, ly. Hmm.
very beautiful, sudden, stubborn,
Very, okay, very, much, to, TOO2, that's also an adverb. Well, now, these are 5 examples of adverbs, right? Many is also an example of verb. Shazib.
Suddenly, absolutely, immediately, adversely,
Hmm.
gradually, beautifully,
Other than that? Other than, yes. I told you to write 5 down, to write down 5 ly adverbs and the rest 5 should be non-ly adverbs. Non-ly, which will not include ly. Yes, young lady. Tell me.
Quickly, slowly, fastly, gradually, and speedily.
I'm not understanding any other language other than English.
Quickly, fastly, slowly, gradually.
All right.
Speedily. Very
Speedily,
much.
okay.
Soon.
Very much. To.
Soon.
Excellent,
Many.
excellent. Yeah. Many. What else? Much. Got it.
Quickly, slowly, hardly, softly, strongly, poorly, simply,
Other than that.
very, too much, sudden,
Sudden. Tell me, use sudden in a sentence as an adverb. Use it and I'll let you know. Yes, Abid.
other than Elba,
Other than ly, tell me.
fast, well, now, hard, slow, excellent, merry, very.
Okay, fast is a good adverb.
Yes, ma'am. Slow,
She is moving fast.
she runs fast.
You can either add an ly to that, and without ly you can also use. That's good. Other than that, so you used very, fast. What else?
Fast, well, now, very.
Two, and then many, so on and so forth. All right, Bilal, haven't you written anything? Something. Even if you've written one word, tell me.
frankly,
Frankly. You're doing a great job. Just write down ly and then I'll tell you other words too. Don't worry. Okay, Munib.
lovely,
Lovely.
gradually,
Gradually.
mainly, many,
Which comprises very good mainly.
carefully,
No. Fearful. It's fearful. That's
fearful,
another thing. You can use terribly if you want to use. Terribly is also an adverb. Okay? Ata, have you told me? All right. Maliha?
Emotionally,
Carefully. Surely. Nice. Beautifully.
Normally,
Mm-hmm.
Many.
Other than that, okay. Ly, other than ly. Use often in a sentence. Use it. Use it.
Maybe frank.
Yeah. Use it. Frank, being frank and frankly, there's a difference. Do you know?
Often,
She is being frank. She was talking to me frankly.
Maybe frank in this is the adverb.
Frank itself is an adjective. If you're going to say she's talking to me frankly, frankly is an adverb. She was being very frank. What is frank over here?
Being frank.
She was being very frank. Excellent. It is still an adjective. It's still an adjective here.
आप very use करेंगे तो फिर adjective होगा, adverb होगा, very नहीं use करेंगे तो adjective होगा.
She's being frank over here. What's frank over here?
Frank is adjective.
Good.
और very use करेंगे adverb होगा. Just modify कर ऐसा.
Hold on. She is being very frank. Very is an adverb. Frank will still remain adjective. Still remain adjective because very is explaining the adjective here. She is very. Which type of adverb is it? The one that is modifying an adjective. Very is an adverb here.
often and serious.
Use the word often in a sentence. I'll tell you what it is.
Madam, I played cricket often.
I played cricket oftenly. Yes, that's an adverb. That's an adverb. The usage, everything depends on the usage, right? All right. Now let's come on to preposition. Now any word or group of words, any words or group of words that clarifies the position of a noun and a pronoun, it's known as preposition. It's known as preposition, right? Now, a preposition is going to it's used alongside a verb as well. It's used alongside an adjective as well. It's used alongside a noun as well. Now, as far as verb is concerned, she is or he is riding a bicycle on the road. So here it is definitely clarifying the position of a pronoun. Position of a noun and a pronoun. Here, what is the preposition here? On. Why? Because it's telling us that this person is doing something on the road. So this is actually clarifying the position of a noun and a pronoun. However, it is being right now used with a verb. What about a noun?
Bicycle.
No. What about another sentence where we can use it alongside a noun? A book on the table, money in the pocket. Money in the pocket. So you're keeping, if I'm saying she had money in the pocket, So it is actually telling where exactly the money is, where exactly the noun is.
I am with you.
Yes, very good. Very good. Money in the pocket. All right, what's a preposition here? All right, what about an adjective? Money is in the pocket. I'm just using a phrase I'm just using a depending clause over here, just for your understanding. I am with you, very good example. I am with you. Over here, the preposition is with. It's connecting one noun with another noun. This is a noun connecting with another noun, right? Now here, what was happening? It was connecting a verb as well and telling something that this person is doing something on the road. What about an adjective? How are we going to use a preposition with an adjective? Think about it. Just do the brainstorming for 1 minute. Okay. Where is the preposition?
And he is sitting on the chair.
Okay. I think there is something that is not clear in your mind about the preposition. I think like that. Because usually when I am teaching this topic, the students do understand. I have to tell you one thing over here, just one thing, then you may ask your question, maybe I'm answering your question that was in your mind. I told you that preposition is clarifying the position of noun and pronoun. Is that understandable, this statement, right? By this sentence, I actually mean that it's clarifying the position of a noun and a verb, of a noun and an adjective, of a noun with another noun. For example, he is brave in the arena. This is actually joined with an adjective by a preposition, right? So he is brave in the arena. Now this is used as a preposition. You already know that. Where is he brave? He is brave in the arena. So this adjective is connected with this arena. Who is brave? This guy is brave. Preposition is clarifying the position of a pronoun, and we are connecting the adjective with another noun. Try to understand this thing. So over here, if we try to understand the meaning, preposition is actually joining a noun with an adjective, a noun with another noun, and a noun with a verb. It's used as defining the position of a noun with respect to a verb, with respect to adjective, with respect to another noun. When I'm saying he is performing well in the class, so in is a preposition. Performing well is what? Over here it is acting as what is well over here? What is it? He is performing well in the class. It's acting as an adjective here.
And how?
Because it's telling us about the quality of the pronoun. He is performing very well in the class. Very is an adverb. Very is an adverb over here. Okay? Right? She is a world-class demonstrator of arts. She is a world-class demonstrator of arts. Is it a preposition of noun, preposition of adjective, or a verb? She is a world-class demonstrator of arts. Arts is also a noun. Demonstrator is also a noun, right? So what of is the preposition here? So which category would you put it in? In the noun category. Is it clear, Anam? Clear, okay. All right. So for instance, if I say something like this, she is brilliant during her examination. She is brilliant during her examination. What is during over here? What is during? Think. She is brilliant. Brilliant is what? It's an adjective. Right? During the examination. What is during doing over here? It's not a verb. During is not a verb. It's a preposition. She is brilliant during her examination. So, brilliant is an adjective. Here we are using preposition and we are using it in the category of preposition of joining noun with adjective. He is running on the ground because it's actually telling how the noun is performing, it's actually joining a noun and a verb. He is running on the ground, on the road, right? Is it clear? Now a few examples of preposition. Can anyone help me with examples of preposition? You already know about the in and at and on, over, under, underneath. You already know that. Can you write 3 more prepositions on your copy? Write down. Okay. After noun, money in the pocket. All right, I'll write up. Okay. Just use it in the words. Don't write full sentences right now. Have you just written some prepositions, Zoya? Tell me with is a. Tell me how have you written actually?
I'm in the class. I'm learning English in the class.
I'm learning English in the class. In is a preposition. What else? Just write down the prepositions right now for this moment only. Young man.
Underneath,
Hmm.
down, along, in, on, in, over, cross, abide by, around, among.
Abide
I should abide by the rules.
However,
By,
Yeah.
by.
However is a conjunction. It's a conjunction. It is. According to.
Abide by law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. According to.
According to.
According to it is. Yeah. Yeah. Which one other than according to?
Accordance.
In accordance with law.
In accordance.
All right. What else? You said another word that I just totally missed. Among other than before according to. All right. Fawad, anything from you? Fahad.
From this side,
Mm-hmm.
toward, across.
Across. Good. Yasin. Over, above. Think and write it. Into, onto. Do you guys really know the mean usage of into and onto? Many people don't know. It comes with a lot of practice if you're not a regular person who teaches English. And 99% many people don't teach. By, with, at, of,
during which,
through, during.
which,
Which of these? Which is something else here? It's not. Which is not a preposition. Anything else? Bilal and Munib. Think. We are in the thinking process. In spite. Despite. In spite of. Despite. Use despite in a sentence. When we are saying words, we should be. That's instead of. What is despite? Okay, how are you using indeed? That depends. I'm just telling you for because is a conjunction. Adding phrases. I will be talking about that in detail as well. I want to finish tenses, however. Yes, very true. That's a very true situation with you guys.
Actually, for me, I am
I want to tell you guys this thing that even when I was also not part of any organization, still if you keep talking, if you really want to have grip in this in the English subject, I think you can easily and effortlessly do it. It depends on your interest. If you're not interested, it won't happen. So even if you're not part of anything, if you keep watching movies and listening to English songs and singing English songs, your all parts of speech are going to improve very well. You will know exactly what to do what. The day you are able to sense a mistake when somebody is talking, that is the day when you are able, then you can think that you have learned English. Because when you are listening to a lot of things and you are unable to spot a mistake in that, then this means there is a problem. Your English is not good enough, fine enough. So in order to do that, you have to learn the basics, and that's what we're doing here. So now I will one by one ask you about the prepositions. I'll start with Tayyaba first. Give me example of few.
On, beside, between, under, over, it, down, among, through, into, on.
Yasin. Just tell me the preposition. From. Use it. I haven't heard from you. That's a preposition. From is a preposition here. Okay, tell me a few more.
And
Nor, neither is used is part of a are conjunctions. Yeah. Either, or, neither, nor. They are examples of conjunction. We will talk in a while. Over, not over. Over.
On, in, a.
Write down. Whatever you have said, write it down. Mushtaq, quickly tell me, we have to move on. Quickly tell me preposition, whatever you have written. You have told me? Alright, okay. Annam.
During, on, off, at, above, under, upper, lower, in, while, over,
Upper
upper and lower.
and lower.
Position of something like
Preposition tells you about the time, position and direction. I'm trying to understand her words. So if I'm saying that, how would you use upper over here?
above,
Upper, or have you said upper or above? Above. Okay, sorry.
something which is
Yeah.
upper also I use
Where can you use it in a sentence?
upper and lower. Anything which we put something on.
Use it in a sentence if you can.
Shows the position of something.
Sure. Can we use it in a sentence? Above the ground is working here. What about lower? So underline these both, verify them, and see what is their usage in a sentence when you go back home. Maliha. With, off, on, it. Other than that, it's a very good attempt, Annam. It's a very good attempt. Yes. Go ahead.
With, off, on, it.
It. All right.
On each.
On it. With.
Any, while, into.
Okay. Fair enough.
I told you that.
Alrighty. So, Ata.
into,
Onto.
from, our, besides, however,
Oh, besides. And
along, however,
it's not a, however, is not a preposition. It's a conjunction.
Where beside होता है besides नहीं होता है beside मतलब addition होता है उसके साथ.
beside,
When we can use besides as well.
yes, besides,
Beside is used in two ways. There was someone sitting beside her. There was someone sitting beside her. Besides, it's actually acting as a connector in essays. Besides. All right. Along. Use along in a sentence. Ata, use along in a sentence.
you come, calamity, happiness,
At the interview time. In the interview, all right. Yes. Okay, Shazib.
among, from, with, during, while, against,
It's incumbent upon you to tell me 10 prepositions.
from, with, during, while, against, through, across, beside, under, and.
Okay, done. Good job. Okay, Munib and Bilal.
I, on,
Hmm.
under,
Good. Under. Okay.
under,
Other. Other is not a preposition. Oh, it's not a preposition. Anybody else who would voluntarily want to tell me, Abid? I know that. No, I know you told me. Thank you. I thought that you were raising your head. Maybe you wanted to tell me something. All right. So now we know something about prepositions. I will be discussing and we will be having a whole class for prepositions. 2-hour class, because this is widely used topic in FBSC exams and one of the most trickiest one, because they'll give you options and once you see options you'll forget what exactly was your answer. So when you see a preposition sentences, hide the options and see. Hide the options and see what would be the suitable preposition here. And then when you'll be sure about it, then look at the options. I hope they are correct options. I hope they are the ones that you know and that you think the answer may lie in. So that's actually a way to do prepositions. So when we have a class of prepositions, we are going to go in detail. One word preposition, compound preposition, the preposition of time, the preposition of direction, and then so on and so forth, many things. So we'll have a separate one for the understanding of parts of speech. It was necessary that you know somewhat the basics. In a while we'll be studying more about all parts of speech, right? So then we have conjunction. Conjunction is actually a word joining sentences, phrases, clauses, etc. Now when we are saying a conjunction, how would we know it's a conjunction? So the word conjunction actually implies connecting. Now conjunction means connecting one part with another part. Connecting one part with another part. I want to basically give you some basics of sentences, some basic of clauses. So what exactly is a clause? Do you have some idea? Or if you don't know, I want to give you a 2-3 minute basic of that. We have words form phrases, 2 or more phrases form clauses, 1 or 2 or 3, more than one clause or more than one clause makes a sentence. So the basic unit of any sentence is not words actually. It's actually morphemes. It's not a morpheme, it's a morpheme. Even morpheme is not any substance that you might think that I'm talking about marijuana or something like that. It's actually not like that. So morpheme is the basic unit of a sentence, and morphemes actually make words. Words then make phrases. Phrases then make clauses. And clauses eventually make the sentences. Alright? So let's exclude morpheme over here, and we will just be talking about, and I'll also be excluding words. You already know that. I don't know why someone has not asked me a question, what exactly are morphemes? What are words? Collection of alphabets, right? So what are morphemes? Basically, morphemes are 2 or more letters joined together. These are examples of morphemes. These are 2-3 letters. Our yes, morphemes can form suffixes. However, suffixes itself, suffix, prefix, or affixes, which we call collectively, are words actually.
Can we say that collection of alphabets or word and collection of words is called sentence, and collection of sentence or paragraph, collection of paragraph called essay?
Yes, it is. However, first we need to understand up till the unit of sentence we are going to talk about. Then collection of sentences is going to be a paragraph, collection of paras is going to be an essay, right? So what exactly is a phrase? Once you know the meaning of that, you're easily going and effortlessly going to identify conjunctions. Phrase are words that do not provide a complete sense or meaning. Phrases are group of words arranged logically. They are arranged logically. However, they do not provide complete sense. For example,
In the east.
she returns. What is she returns over here? It's not, you know that somebody is returning. Where is she returning from? Where is she coming from? Who is this lady? You don't have complete information. So an example of phrase will be she returns.
Earth will. Earth will.
Earth will.
In the east, ma'am.
In the school in the east.
Sun rises.
The school. Sun rises. These are examples of phrases. So what are phrases? Group of sentences arranged logically, however they don't provide any meaning. Now I'm going to tell you that when two or more phrases combine together, they form a clause. If you want to write it for your own information, you can. Two or more sentences, when they combine together, it forms a clause. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Now clauses has two types. A clause which gives you a complete meaning is independent clause. A clause which gives you a complete meaning is an independent clause. A clause which does not give you complete meaning
Dependent class.
is known as dependent clause. Now my question to you. A clause that does not give you complete meaning is known as dependent clause. What's the difference between dependent clause and phrase?
जो डिपेंडेंट क्लास होता है वो पहले वाले सेंटेंस पे डिपेंड करता है किसकी बात कर रहा है सब लोग। जो फ्रेज होता है वो तो एक अधूरी सी मीनिंग देता है। जो डिपेंडेंट क्लास वाला आता है वो पहले सेंटेंस के बारे में अगर वो नहीं होगा तो डिपेंडेंट नहीं होगा।
However, I'll tell you. The difference between a phrase and a clause is that a clause will have a verb and a subject. Always will have a verb and a subject. It may or may not have an object. However, in a phrase, if you might not have a subject, for instance, sunrise, sunrises. What is sunrises? When I was writing sunrises, I was thinking we can do more about it. Let's exclude this. Earth will. Does it have a main verb here? So it's not a clause. The school. Does it have a main verb here? In the is also a phrase. Of the is also a phrase. A clause will always have a subject and a verb. It may or may not have an object. Now, sunrises is not a phrase. It's a dependent clause. Sun rises, because sun is a subject, rises is a verb. So we may not write it like this. Right? We will include it in dependent clause, because dependent clause will always have a verb and a subject, yet the meaning is not clear. The phrase misses the subject and verb.
Ma'am, independent clause is wait.
No, that's also not a sentence
And when
even.
we order someone, like, wait for it.
Wait for it is a sentence. Alright. Now is this distinction clear in your mind? Fahad?
Please repeat again about the phrase.
Yes. Phrase does not have a subject, may not have a verb as well. And it will not give you a complete meaning. Okay? If it is having a subject, it might not have a verb. If it is having a verb, it may not have a subject. If it is having a if you see an arrangement of words where you can see subject and verb together, it may imply to you that, okay, let me see if the sentence is giving me a full meaning or not. If you see a subject and a verb, you have to check if this is giving you some meaning. If it's not giving you meaning, this is a dependent clause. If it is going to give you some meaning, it's an independent clause. Now I want to give some people in this class and online as well, they want to understand with examples. So I'm telling you how. I'll first give you example of dependent clause and then independent clause. If she returns home, if she returns home, it is having a subject, yes or no? If she returns home, does it have a subject? Does it have a verb?
Yes, returns.
Returns is a verb. Is it giving you full meaning?
No,
No. So it's a dependent clause. Okay? Right? Now I'm removing if from it. I'm saying she has returned home. It's a complete, it's an independent clause. And remember, independent clause can form simple sentences. Independent clause can form simple sentences. It's so difficult, so confusing. It's not confusing, you're just going to, I'll give you 5 minutes break to digest it and namaz as well. So, understand this point again. Independent clauses can form simple sentences. She has returned home. Yes or no, right? Because it's giving you a complete meaning. Now listen, if I went there, I will score good marks. If I go there, what is it? It's a dependent clause. Alright, now keep it aside. Now answer me on this. I will score well. It's an independent clause. So when one clause, 2, 3, 4 more clauses combine together, they form sentences. They form sentences. Now listen. If you have one independent clause in a sentence, it's a simple sentence. If you have dependent and independent clause together, it's a complex sentence. It's a complex sentence. However, if you have 2 or more than 2 independent clauses in a sentence, it's a compound sentence. Now I'll give you example of a compound sentence. I will drive and she will read maps. I will drive, does it have a complete meaning? I will drive. I will drive the car and she will, just hear this sentence out. She will read the maps. She will read the maps as a complete sentence, independent, right? Because it's giving you full meaning. So, I will drive the car and she will read the maps. She will read the maps is also independent clause. I will drive the car is also independent clause. So when they form together, when two independent, two IC come together, they form compound sentences. When we have independent and when we have dependent coming together, that's a complex sentence. Now, why am I teaching you that thing? In a sense, when you will be asked to do sentence correction, see, watch out the mistake. There will be a common mistake of conjunction. Common mistake of, you can say, the usage of some prepositions while they're giving you compound sentences. Right? Or they'll give you a dependent clause and then they'll ask you, they'll ask you which one of these is a correct sentence, and you have to see, and when you saw the dependent clause sentence, so you say, this is not even a sentence, I know that, because it's not even giving complete meaning. So you should be able to identify and reject it and understand this is incorrect. This is required in this fashion. Is this clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a 5 minutes break. It's a 10 minutes break. Offer prayer, come back. And those who are online, offer prayer, come back. What's the time right now?
6:49.
6:49. They'll be back at 7. Be back at 7. All right. Okay. So welcome back from the break. There was a query during the break that a student asked that हम amendments को किस तरह से पढ़े और amendments के लिए information कहाँ से ले और किस तरह से पढ़े. तो मैं छोटी क्वेरी को यहीं डील करना चाहती हूँ before proceeding with English portion. ठीक है. तो अगर ये आप लोग जो मुझे यहाँ पे देख रहे हैं तो आपके पास आज अपडेट हो गया है सिलेबस एफपीएससी का. अगर आप उस एफपीएससी के सिलेबस को देखें, अपने पास खोलें, या मैं आपके साथ रिपीट करती हूँ. तो आपका फर्स्ट पार्ट है आपका ग्रामर पार्ट ऑफ इंग्लिश, which is going to include grammar usage and sentence structuring. The second part is the professional test comprising of 80 MCQs and 80 marks or 80%. So when we're talking about the professional test, you all can see that सबसे पहले there are functions of Federal Board of Revenue. Number 2, fiscal policy of Pakistan. We have discussed functions. We have discussed fiscal policy of Pakistan. We have discussed tax administration reforms in Pakistan. We have discussed TARP, and we know that you can find out about tax administration reforms from the website of FBR. The fourth one is Sales Tax Act as amended up to July 2021. So what you have to do, not only will you cover the main crux of Sales Tax Act, you will also be covering the new SROs which have been in field now. And you can easily find this document on Google by writing Sales Tax Amendments up till July 2021. So most of the time you will see that the big 4 audit firms such as Siddharth Haider, such as Tasir Adi, and I'm telling you the Pakistani names of that, Ferguson and Deloitte has already been now closed in Pakistan. So these firms actually try to help the people, and they generally introduce tax cards along with amendments. They make up these in the PDF form, and they are generally available on their website as well. So if you just write down amendments, Sales Tax Act 2020, here they've written 21. So even if you write that and write down the big 4 name of audit firm, of any audit firm, you will see that there's a PDF document, and thereby only giving you amendments, right? For sales tax, this is applicable. For income tax, this is also applicable. So when you're just going to see the amendments, you would know what are things that are new now, which previously weren't there. So there's a specific documents only for amendments as well, and definitely you already know about the income tax ordinance, which is available on website of FBR, and you already know about Sales Tax Act 1990, which is also available on Google and available on the website as well. So specifically want to know about the amendments, write it, you'll know about it, you can download something from internet. As far as federal excise duty is concerned, it is very small in comparison to Income Tax Ordinance 2001 and Sales Tax 1990. There are several other things available regarding to FED, easy to understand, and they're not going to be, in the paper, if somebody is asking me how many MCQs can we expect from FED, so maximum I will say 7, minimum 3 or 2, not more than that. Yet, because we're competing at a very high level, there are 100,000 of people who have applied for the job. So your passing marks are only 95%. And in order to score like that, the moment you're scoring more than 90, then you can be rest assured that I have now a chance to get into FBR, let alone the test is concerned. Okay? So this was actually the answer to your query. Now let's get back to English.
FBR में मैंने जो है ना वो इनकम टैक्स जो उन्होंने दिया हुआ है तो रेट अपने में दिया हुआ है उसमें अगर आप देखेंगे तो रेड कलर से जो है ना वो जो चीजें लिखी हैं
Yeah. Yes. Moreover, with red color sometimes there are omissions also there. So it usually gets the people confused. Usually for new beginners. So now people who are in the field for a long time, it's easier for them to quickly go on to that and know, okay, this is the amendment, these are the new things, so on and so forth. These are now omitted. For people, for students, I highly reckon that they go for specific documents to know what are the changes, right? Okay, now let's get back to conjunction. And we knew that conjunction is actually a word which joins sentences, phrases and clauses. So we have discussed what a phrase is, we discussed what a clause is, and now we know that by combining one or by combining two or more clauses we are making sentences. Even independent clauses are also simple sentences. Now where do we exactly use the conjunction? I'm going to give you a few examples of conjunction, and you will then understand how it is combining two clauses or two parts of sentences together. A while ago I gave an example. I am driving the car and she is reading maps. Over here, I am driving the car, underline it, what is it? It's an independent clause. And she is reading maps is also an independent clause. When we are combining these two, and is a conjunction here. And is a conjunction here. So another example of conjunction will be what?
While.
All right, okay. Very good.
Also,
even though
Yeah.
as far as
Wow.
because
Wow. Good job. You are informed now. I think I should give you guys a break and then I can expect a lot of answers from you. Fully charged. All right. Okay. So, now when you guys gave me examples in the class and right now gave me examples of because, gave me example of but, as well as, excellent. What else? Therefore. All right. What else? If, however, then okay. I will go over there, then she will return. Then she will return. Other than then, when, where, whatever. Remember, if you're asked to find out a conjunction in a sentence, a conjunction is also used to ask you questions. Right? So when somebody is using a conjunction, either they will tell you something or they'll expect you to say something. Now think about it and let me know what conjunctions are used in interrogative sentences.
What, where, which,
When?
When will you return?
how,
How are you going to do it? Which of these cats spilled the milk?
5W.
Yeah, definitely. So conjunctions are joining sentences, plus conjunctions are used in sentences to ask you question, then expect an answer from you. Right? Conjunctions can be one word and combination of different words as well. A while ago, somebody in the class told us neither and nor. Either and or. Right? So, can anyone attempt to use neither and nor in a sentence?
neither she nor he will go there.
Okay, good, very nice. Neither she nor he will go there. What else?
Neither she nor he, not like tea,
Not like?
tea.
See, when we are using he, she, it, verb will always come with s. Right? Neither she nor he likes tea. Right? Good. Anybody else? Now can anyone attempt to tell me a sentence of either and or? Try to do it.
Either I or Nadia will go there.
I will neither accept your project. I will neither accept your offer nor your project.
Other than neither and nor. Go for either and or.
Either
Either you come.
When we are using either or either, whatever it is, we are actually going for some declarative sentences, making a statement.
Either you come, I will not get my home.
Either you accept it
Other than that,
or reject it.
either accept it or reject it. You're making a statement. See, I have to tell you one thing very interesting. It's going into a lot of details. I really feel like telling you the beauty of this language is that sometimes the sentences are interrogative. What are interrogative questions? Interrogative statements in which you are going to ask questions. Yet when we are saying the interrogative sentences, if you are saying with a command or a request, it depends on the usage. Alright? Now, if I say something like this, will you accept now or later? Here, I am not looking very authoritative. It's an interrogative sentence, yet it's implying a request. Now I am going to say something like this. Will you accept now or later? Now you're going to do it now because it's more with authority and I'm putting emphasis on now. It is still a question, yet giving you a feeling of declaration. Giving you a feeling of commanding, not declaration, commanding. Declaration is you're going to make a statement. For example, I am a fan of BTS. That's a statement. When you're saying something with command, it is an interrogative sentence. However, it's giving you a feeling of command and order. We are not right now studying that. However, when you are using either and or, you are actually declaring something or answering something. Right? Somebody used either or very nicely in the class a while ago. Either or. Neither and nor you already know. Can anyone again use either and or? No, somebody else from this side also. Not neither and nor. Either and nor.
Either you accept it or reject it.
Here, when Shahzeb was using this in a sentence, either you accept it or reject it. You are giving choice to the person next to you. When you talk about neither and nor, you are closing the choice for people.
Either you go with us or stay.
You are creating options with either and or. So we can say that too. Use
What is
it.
the difference between simple sentence and independent sentence?
Both are
Simple sentence or independent sentence.
Independent clause.
दोनों ही सेम है कैसे
Usually, independent clause can be and is 100% a simple sentence. A simple sentence is including one clause, that is independent clause. A very good question by Shahid, that how can we know it's a simple sentence and an independent clause? So independent clause is a simple sentence, right? Okay, so let's verbally call out some conjunctions and or. Therefore, good. However,
Whatever.
either or, neither nor, if, when, which, how, what,
Whenever.
whenever,
As well as.
as well as, moreover,
Even.
As far
sorry,
Even.
even,
As far as.
good,
As far as.
as far as, yes,
As soon as.
as soon as, yes, anyways, all right, nice,
Otherwise.
yes,
Hopefully.
no,
Anything.
no, it's not a conjunction,
but
is a conjunction, right? So, and what about for?
Yet.
Not a conjunction.
for
Not a conjunction. You're throwing questions over me. You're throwing questions over me so that I can like have floods of words over here and answer you back. No, it's a good query, but is a conjunction. It's combining two things. It's combining two clauses. Although, yes, it's a though is a conjunction.
Yours.
Thus,
As far as.
henceforth,
hence
henceforth is a conjunction. Which is a conjunction.
Helpful in SM, these type of conjunctions.
We can go for, sorry, whoever. No, whoever does that. Let me see, understand the usage. Use it in a sentence.
Whoever does this or.
I will give a try whoever answer my question.
Whosoever. Whosoever answered my question.
Whosoever.
Whoever will not be used as a conjunction there. It won't be. That's very similar to anyone.
Whoever you call, understand my
Oh my God. All right. Now let's talk about interjections over here. And as we know that interjections are showing emotions, they are very easy to identify. I'm saying one thing and tell me the answer in true or false. Or I will not go for true and false, I'll just ask you, I want you to tell me.
wow, we will the match.
I'm coming on to that. An exclamatory sentence ends with a full stop, yes or no? An exclamatory sentence ends with a full stop, yes or no? How many people saying yes? Okay. How many people saying no? I think all. I said an exclamatory sentence, not a word. An exclamatory word is hurrah, alas. So hurrah, alas, heed, congrats, no.
Hi.
Depends on,
Hi. Hi. It's also used as an interjection.
Hey, 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 like that.
Oh shit.
Wow. Like, okay. All right. Let me go for more. Oh. Again, it's like like that. However, we use it informally. Huh. It's like huh. Huh.
UGS when we are
UGH. It's like ugh.
when we are
It's like ugh. It's used informally. So hurrah, alas, heed, hey, wow, oh, huh, and then ouch as well, and whatever you want to go for. All right. So, and then we can also use other words as congrats. It can also be used as and good gracious.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yippee as well, or oh my God, good gracious, oh my goodness. All right, these are used as interjections. Now my question was that how does an exclamatory sentence end? Does it end with a full stop? The answer is yes. The exclamatory words end with a exclamatory mark. The exclamatory sentences will always end with a full stop and a period. So in your MCQs, they might give you full sentences and they might remove the full stop from there in the end. That was in our paper. And since I knew the rules, so I chose the correct option. So you should be able to know about the punctuation marks, where to use what. All right. So this was all about the parts of speech. I don't know what's the time right now. 7:27. We will hold back the class over here. I would be taking the next class on Sunday. I will not be taking tomorrow or day after. I would be taking it on Sunday, and inshallah, we would be starting tenses on that day. Then I will be consecutively keeping some classes in the next week so that we can cover, we have a lot to cover in English, because that is holistically the 20%. This is not going to go anywhere, it will remain same. So you have to be very much present when we are studying English. And in the next class, I will give you a question bank, and that would be in the PDF form. You guys will be given the handouts. The online people will be given the PDF form. You have to print it and attempt questions in that. There are a lot of questions in that. So you have to print it and attempt it. One good thing about the syllabus is that they have not included the vocabulary portion. So you will not have to go for antonyms and synonyms. However, you are going to go for analogy practice in the class, because analogies are not part of the vocabulary. Analogies are comparisons, word comparisons. Yes. Which shows the relationship. Alright, you will practice that. Even if it comes in your exam or comes in any other FPAC exam, you will practice it. And you can give 15-20 minutes to analogies every day, and that will be done for that. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for having us and being there. Thank you. And we are just closing down the class. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.